Yo, what's up, people? Devon,
Cam.
Jim, Chameleon Love. So, we just wanted to throw a scenario out there, right? So, we had a scenario. We had a scenario earlier. The scenario was our son Ace was pulling some stuff out in the yard, and so I feel like he's about to tear something up. She was like, well, you're being negative. And so I'm like, well, I don't think I'm being negative. I think I'm being proactive. So I want y'all to help us decide what y'all think. Was I being negative or was I just being proactive? So here's the scenario. Our son was out in the yard. He was pulling the hose. He turned the water hose on in the backyard. He was pulling it, but it looked like it was caught. So he was just kept yanking and yanking. And I'm thinking he about to break something, right? So I'm like, hey, you probably want to go out there and see what your boy doing before he breaks something. And she's like, well, why are you being negative? You should just be more positive about what is going on. So I'm like, I'm not being negative. I'm being proactive. I'm trying not to have to fix something, because if something goes wrong, who's the one that's responsible? Usually it's the husband, right? The husband is responsible for fixing something. Something goes wrong. I got to see what's going on. I got to troubleshoot. I got to fix it if I can. If I can't fix it, I got to call somebody to fix it. So I'm trying to avoid all of this stuff, right? But she said that I'm being negative in it. Now, this is a real life scenario. This is stuff that relationships go through. We ain't all just, everything is just honky-dory and cool. We go through things too, just like everybody, but it's about how do you resolve your conflict, right? How do you level set? How do you find a common ground? How do you agree to disagree? How do you resolve that issue and continue going on the same day and not let that spill into the next day and the next day, which is a lot of times what we do as people. I know I used to be really bad at it. Terrible.
Yeah.
Bro, she all right. So you know what? Maybe she's right. Maybe I was terrible, but I'm working on myself, right? I'm a work in progress. Listen, just because we're relationship coaches and life coaches, I am not an expert.
Great.
I am a high performing student. That means I am constantly learning. I'm just performing at a high level. But I don't know everything.
He was definitely a grudge king.
Anyway, you see what I'm saying? Boy, the devil try to steal your joy, boy. God, no. Little boys are mischievous. You absolutely right. So I gotta see what's going on. So I'm like, yo, can you go out there and see what's going on?
Women are supposed to listen to their man. And this is the thing, guys. I do listen to him and I do submit to him because he's a great leader. And he leads with honesty and respect, because that's a huge thing. Like, I can listen to you. If you can tell me what to do, you can tell me what to do. But if you can't tell me what to do, you can't tell me what to do. But he can tell me what to do.
But I try to tell you what to do, and you ain't listening to me tell me what to do.
That was different. That was different.
All right, it's different.
Normally, it's a thing from what I was coming from. I was coming from an expression. Like someone said, tone and volume is everything. Yes, we agree with that. And I try to make sure that I am cognizant of my tone and my volume, especially when I'm speaking with him or to him. But what I was trying to help him understand is the boys are in a process of learning and gleaning everything that he's doing. So now they're also in a step. We just went into another level of parenthood where the boys are now actually looking at, like, let me do what daddy does. Let me try to fix this like daddy. What would daddy do type thing. So I am trying to like back away and fall back and let them fall into the little men that they're becoming, and allowing them to experiment, allowing them to a little bit more leeway and being able to really go behind their father. Their father is their idol.
And that's fine. That's fine. I want them to learn from me. I know I'm going to teach them the right stuff. I'm not going to lead them astray.
But there's something I need you to understand. Like,
okay,
from my perspective is I'm allowing them to be little men. All right. And so when you come into that, if there's something that they're doing the wrong way, I'm not always going to recognize if they're doing it the wrong way. So for me, from what would help me is if you would just get up and just go, help them out, or show them what to do,
that's fine.
Or help them to do it a better way.
That's fine.
So that allows me to, because sometimes, because I'm operating in my femininity, and I appreciate you for allowing me to operate in that, I'm not always going to understand where you're coming from. So I'm going to look at it differently. And that's what it was doing today. It wasn't discounting what you were feeling. It wasn't discounting what you were saying. But I was allowing them to be little men.
That's fine. But you didn't explain that. What you did was you said I was being negative.
I did.
And in my eyes, I'm not being negative. I'm being proactive versus reactive. I got to be the one to fix it.
Yeah.
They're not coming to you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to you and say, hey, babe, the fan stopped working. Can you fix the fan? The dryer's not working. Can you go? That's you coming to me. That's them coming to me. So I'm trying to be proactive in it.
Yeah.
So I don't have to add more shit onto my plate that's already on it. My plate is already running over.
Yeah.
So I don't want to have to add anything on there that I can actually prevent. Now, maybe I should have went out there, but I felt in the moment, you said you was going to go out there, you were going to play with them. So it was your job to go out there and maintain whatever was going on and fix whatever's going on, because you said you was already going out there. Looking back on it in retrospect, if you would have explained, if you would have just said, hey, babe, can you go out there and help him with that, then I would have been more receptive to say, all right, let me go out there and help him fix this issue before it becomes there. And now I got to fix the plumbing or something that's going on with it versus something that's minimal.
Right.
So that's where we had a disconnect with, where you felt like I was being negative when really I was just trying to be proactive and prevent a situation from happening. I want them to look at me as that obviously as a father figure, because I'm their father, but I want them to be like, okay, what would dad do in this situation? And they are doing that for the most part in certain things, and I would never take that away from them because I want them to do that. But at certain things, if I see it happening in the moment, I'm like, okay, this could go left and this is gonna be a lot bigger issue than it would normally be, then I'll step in and say, hey, but you probably should do it this way, or you probably shouldn't do this. Maybe it's dangerous or whatever. Thank you. We're trying to do our communication level a lot better than what we saw as kids and what our parents displayed to us. And so, we're not going to get it right all the time.
Yeah.
We're imperfect humans just like everybody else. And that's why I keep telling people, like, just because we're relationship coaches doesn't mean that we don't get things wrong. Like, we human too, and we learning in this too. And it's up to us to realize what we're doing in those moments, and then hone it in, bring it in, and try to figure out through communication and through comprehension on where we're having a disconnect in our communication, and to fix it in the moment, or to fix it at least within a couple of hours, and not necessarily let it spill into the next day, because that's what we don't want to do. That's what we used to do before. And so thank y'all so much for listening and tuning in, and just commenting on that. We read all of our comments. We try to read as many comments as possible. But
I said how you were being negative. How did that make you feel in the moment? Like, when I said you were being negative, did that offend you? Like, were you?
Yeah, it did offend me when she said I was being negative, because I didn't feel like I was being negative. I feel like she didn't understand where I was coming from a man's point of view, of especially the man of the household that is in charge of fixing everything and making sure that things are going right. And if I can't fix it, then I gotta find someone to fix it. So in that moment, she wasn't seeing it from my point of view, and I don't expect her to see it from a point of view. I like the fact that she doesn't have to worry about that. If you're a single woman, no disrespect, but if you're a single woman, then that's things that you have to worry about. She's not there. So that's my job, to make sure that things are fixed, things are operating correctly. And if it's not, I either fix it. 80% of the things around the house I fix. I'm good with my hands, so I know how to fix things. However, some things I can't fix. But either way, it's time consuming, or it's going to cost money, or it's going to cost something.
What we, not to cut you off, what we decided tonight is we went out on a date because we needed it. Okay. We definitely need to get out. But I was able to hear what he was saying from a different perspective. And so he was able to explain to me how it made him feel. And what I realized is that I needed empathy. He needed empathy in that moment. And I wasn't able to give that for him because I didn't see or hear what he was saying. And so this is the moment, like, if, you know, going out on this date tonight allowed me to sit down and hear his heart differently so that I could respond differently. And so moving forward, I'm definitely going to be more aware in those moments where I'm able to empathize with you, even if I don't understand. I realize that I am privileged to be able to have a man in my life, a husband that is proactive, that is committed to being a partner, a great partner, and to be able to live, you know, to lead our family. But I'm also, on the other side of things, you know, there's a part of me that doesn't understand certain things. And because I'm so into motherhood and mother mode, that I'm always thinking of the next thing for the kids. So I'm not always able to empathize or cognizant of how I'm responding to you. So tonight helped me to understand where you were coming from, and I can try. You know, I always say I'm not a perfect wife, I'm not a perfect mom, but I'm a trying wife and I'm a trying mom. And that's all we can ask for when you are in a relationship or in a marriage.
At the end of the day, that's all we can do is put our best foot forward and put forth effort. There's so much pressure that social media and society puts on you to be this perfect human, and you should respond this way, and if this happens, you have to respond this way. And the fact of the matter is, those are just people that are talking, but they don't have realistic experiences. Like, this is a real marriage. This is 11 years of marriage, 14 years of a relationship. And we've tried thing after thing after thing after thing. And if it works, cool. If it doesn't, then we try to reform it and make it into something that works. So this isn't just somebody just talking to you from a single perspective. And that's no disrespect to single people. I'm not saying that you can't have perspectives and some of your perspectives aren't right. Having something that is in the moment of a real life disagreement in the moment, and how do you work through things? How do you resolve conflict? Because those things are what's going to help your relationship be sustainable and to last for years and years and decades to come. It's not about, oh, I'm right and she's right, or she's right and I'm wrong. It's about how do we compromise and how do we comprehend each other and communicate the best way we can so we can move past whatever situation that has come up.
And to be honest, comprehension is about also meeting the other person where they are and being willing to listen more than you're able to respond. Like, I gotta be able to hear your heart, and I wasn't always able to do that. It took me a long time to be able to hear you differently, because I would hear you from a defense perspective. I would hear you to respond, but now I'm hearing you to listen. So
that's a good point. A lot of people listen to respond versus listening to understand and to comprehend. And God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth so you can listen just as twice as you talk. So remember that. In that, we always gotta at least come to a compromise. It's about conflict resolution and how fast can you get over whatever situation that you're going through. That doesn't mean that you don't feel it. It doesn't mean that you don't talk about it. Definitely talk about it. Definitely come to a level-headed agreement. But ultimately, how do you get past it? So you can have discussions like we've had that maybe we're in disagreement with, but still be able to work past. So that's all we wanted to kind of just talk about, we wanted to get your perspective on, was I being negative or was I just being proactive? It looks like it was kind of half and half. And I'm totally fine with that. I'm not in the business of being right all the time. I'm in the business of constantly learning.
And that's all of us, you guys. Like, we're in this relationship business to help people do relationships well. We want you guys to win in love. But guess what? We want to win in love too. And
absolutely.
That means that we're going to get it wrong a lot. And we're going to share it with you a lot. And we're going to be transparent and real, because this thing takes 2 people. When you are parenting, some of you guys talk to us about parenting, 2 committed people. It's hard. It's hard out here trying to help, lead these kids as they should go. But in order for them to learn how to deal with conflict, they actually have to see it. They have to see it, and they have to see it from a healthy perspective to be able to experience it from a different level and to be able to duplicate or replicate what they're seeing. So I appreciate you just being on this journey with me,
Yeah, I appreciate you us just being able to come to an agreement, whether we agree to disagree or whether we agree on the same terms or whatever. Just being able to be level-headed about the situation and showing our boys on how to resolve conflict, because it's not easy. We weren't born with these skills necessarily. These are skills that have to be learned or taught, and if you weren't taught it, then you got to learn from self-experience. Nobody taught us how to do this stuff. We didn't have a wonderful, healthy, functioning marriage that we can look at and be like, oh, that's what I want. I never saw that growing up. She never saw that growing up. So you got two people from broken homes that have to make a decision on, you know what, I am never going to do what I saw in my household. And I'm going to figure this thing out, and I'm going to push my pride aside enough to be able to say, okay, you know what, I was wrong in this situation, and I shouldn't have done this. And so I got to learn from it. And there's a better way, like just like you was about to say, there is a better way of doing it.
An effective way to reach the heart of a person. And you want to reach the heart of your spouse. You don't want to just listen just to listen. Like, you want to reach their heart, and reaching their heart means to really be empathetic and what you are doing, what you don't understand. What is it that I don't understand? How can I help you? How can I meet you in that? And that's what really it's about. Getting to the heart of your spouse, helping them to understand. You might not always understand it, but at least you can empathize and be there. And I wasn't always in my empathetic season.
I mean, neither one of us was, but I saw somebody post to say something. It's all about tone and delivery, and how you say certain things, and I think that is absolutely true. So in closing, I just want to say thank y'all so much for joining in. We always love just talking about, we're gonna start bringing more real conversations like this, because a lot of people show you the best and the good side of marriage and the good side of people, but sometimes there is a side of marriage or just relationships in general, where you gotta work through disagreements and you gotta resolve that conflict. And a lot of people just don't know how to do it, and a lot of people won't talk to you about those sides of their marriage
because it's uncomfortable.
We're straight up vulnerable with it, man. Like, we ain't got it all, but we have a willingness to work together to get to our goals and achieve what we're trying to achieve. So always keep chameleon loving. Chameleon love is God's love plus God's love plus self-love equals chameleon love.
Unconditional love. And
you have to love people the way they need to be loved versus the way you want to love them. But you cannot love them properly if you don't love yourself.
Y'all love yourself.
Remember that.
Y'all love yourselves.
Keep chameleon loving.
Love y'all, fam.